Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunattu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavid Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satgurum Pranatosmyaham. So, yesterday we have seen the Mooda Madhe, the dull-witted one, having seen the reflection in the waters, he thinks that is the sun. But the reflection is very, very limited, alpam, its brightness, or it is not the original. So actually the sun is somewhere else shining. But this dull-witted one, having seen the reflection, it also appears like sun. He thinks that is the sun. Likewise, we also, identifying with the body-mind and then thinking this personality to be ourselves, we get deluded and we suffer in the samsara. So what has to be done now? We have to lift our vision from the ghatam, from the pot, from the waters, from the reflection, and then try to see the sun. Similarly, we should also give up the identification of the body, the mind, and the ego self, that is the personality, and then try to see or know the self, the true self which is within. And the true self is deep inside the cave of the heart. So that has to be known. So we shall chant this last three shlokas, 220, 221, 222. Together we will chant. Together means what? We chant continuously, but please repeat after me. Deham diyam chit pratibimbamevam Visrujya buddhau nihitam guhayam Drashtaram atmanam akanda bodham Sarva prakasham sadasadvilakshanam Nityam vibhum sarvaghatam susukshmam Antarbahishunyamanant ananyamatmanaha Bahishunyamananyamatmanaha Vijñāya samyag nijarupametat Puman vipapma virajo vimrutyuhu Vishoka ananda gano vipaschit Swayam kutaschinna bhibheti kaschit Nanyosti panta bhavabandha muktehe Vina swatatvavaghamam mumukshoho So when you dive deep within yourself, in the cave of the heart, what you see, drashtaram atmanam akanda bodham, the real seer, meaning the self, atmanam akanda bodham, that which is unbroken consciousness. where it is not broken into the seer and the seen. It is unbroken. Sarva Prakasham, the illuminator of all. Sada Sad Asad Vilakshanam, beyond the gross and subtle. And it is ever, eternally present. Vibhum, Sarvagatam, all pervading. Susukshmam, very, very subtle, subtler than the subtlest. Antar Bahishunyam, without in and out, the ideas of in and out. And Ananyam Atmanaha, this is not something other than the Atma, the self. It is very much the Atma, the self only we are talking about. Vijnaya Samyak Nijarupamedat. So, once having realized this true self, Puman, Vipapma, this Jivan Mukta becomes Vipapma, free of all sins. Meaning, all the vasanas are destroyed. Virajaha, he goes beyond tamas and rajas. Vimrutyuhu, he goes beyond death even. How? By identifying the self is imperishable. By recognizing that that is his true self, he goes beyond the death. So for him also the body may drop, and his Jivabhava is already dead and gone. So he identifies the self and therefore he is eternal, immortal. Vishoka Ananda Ghanaha Vipashit Swayam Kutashchin Na Bhibeti Kaschana. So once the Mahatma is in that Ananda Swarupam where there is no two, it is one without the second. There is no fear whatsoever. Only when there is two, the other, there will be fear from the other. Here for him there is no fear whatsoever. And there is no fear of losing oneself also. The body is not me and the personality is dead and gone, then what is there to lose? So there is no fear. And the self is ever present. That is the fear. And apart from the self, there is nothing. So, absolutely, he becomes fearless. Na anya asti pantha bhava bandha muktehi. There is no other path for the liberation from the bondage, except what? Vina swa tattva avaghamam mukshoho. Except knowing oneself. There is no other path. In Atma Bodham also we have seen now, the direct knowledge is the only way to remove the ignorance. Like the fire is a direct means for cooking. So this is the direct means for knowing oneself. Knowing the true self is the only way out. Now, till this point we have seen. Now moving on. He is introducing a new idea now. New idea means what? It's fairly new in this context. Brahma bhinnatva vijnanam bhava mokshasya karanam yena dvitiyamanandam Brahma sampadhyate budaihi Brahma bhinnatva vijnanam bhava mokshasya karanam yena dvitiyamanandam Brahma sampadhyate budaihi. Brahma abhinnatva vijnanam. Meaning what? Brahma means the substratum of the whole universe. That is which is behind all the universe. It is called as the absolute truth, that Brahman. Abhinnatvam. It is not something different from Atma, the self. See, Bhinna means different. Abhinnam means it is not different from Atma, the self. Meaning that Brahman alone is shining as Atma, I in the cave of the heart. That is the self. Hridaya guhara madhye kevalam brahma matram aham aham iti sakshat atma rupena bhavi. This Brahma Atma Aikya Bodha, this Vijnanam, this knowledge, Bhava Mokshasya Karanam, that is the cause for the liberation from the samsara. We have seen already that Brahma Atma Ikya Bodham is very essential to realize the identity between God and oneself. Ishvara and the Jiva, the identity. That is the cause for the liberation from the bondage of samsara. So as I told you, apparently when you see, it appears to be very different. How can the Ishvara and Jiva be the same? My God, how can the ocean and the waves be same? But we are going to see further in Vivekachudamani only, from the standpoint of waters, ocean and the wave are one only. So from the standpoint of pure consciousness, that is the Satchit Ananda Swarupam, the Jiva and the Parameshwara, the Ishvara are one and the same. See, this is Advaitic philosophy. When you say they are two different entities, it becomes Dvaita. But in the Advaita it is said, one only. But not with the Upadhis. Upadhis means the conditioning. So, with the conditioning of body-mind, I can never become Ishvara, please. Never ever. Only by transcending the body-mind. When I become the self of all, then I am one with Ishvara. You understand? So, this Vijnanam, what is the Vijnanam? Brahma Abhinnatvam. The Brahma is not something different. It is just one with the self alone. This Vijnanam is a cause for the liberation from the Bhava Bandha, bondages of the samsara. Yena Advitiyam Anandam Brahma Sampadyade. So, because of which, Yena means because of this Jnanam, Brahma Atma Ikya Bodham, Advitiyam, one without the second, Anandam, blissful, Brahma Sampadyate, the Brahman is attained or the Brahman is realized. By whom? By the Buddhaihi, by the great ones, by the wise ones. So, through this Jnanam only, they have attained to that highest state. That Brahma Padam. Brahma Padam Tvam Pravisha Viditva. That Brahma Padam is attained only by this Vijnanam. What is that Brahma Padam? Advitiyam. One without the second. Meaning there is nothing other than that. One without the second. And it is Anandam. It is bliss. Which is beyond our understanding. That bliss. So, that Padam is attained only by this direct knowledge of the Aikya Bhavam between the Brahman and Atman, the Self. Okay, moving on. Brahma Bhutastu Samsrutyai Vidvanna Vartate Punaha Vijñātavyamatas Samyag Brahma Bhinnatvamatmanaha Brahma Bhutastu Samsrutyai Vidvanna Vartate Punaha Vijñātavyamatas Samyag Brahma Bhinnatvamatmanaha Brahma Budhatu. Once when you realize the Aikya Bhavam, the Jivan Mukta Purusha, he becomes Brahman. Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. Brahma Bhutahatu, having attained oneness with this Brahman or having becoming the Brahmapadam, Brahma's Tattvam only, this Vidwan, this great one, this wise one, na avartate samsrutyai punaha, he will never fall back into the samsara, he will never come back again to the samsara. Meaning, once he is realized, there is no more falling back into the samsara or coming back again and again. So once and for all, he is released from the bondage. Once and for all, he has attained that supreme bliss from which there is no slipping back. See, there may be some doubt. How did the ajnana come in the first place? We don't know. Similarly, the ajnana could come again also. Sometimes, who knows? But here it is negated. No. Once when the self is known, the Brahma Tattvam is, apprehended as a self, there is no coming back to this samsara. Why? Because, see, when you identify with that Purana Vastu, the mind is destroyed. When the mind is destroyed means what? No more. It rises. Then effortlessly you are there, one with it. And that is Ananda Swarupam and Paripurna Padam. So who wants to come back? There is nobody to come back. And that is that kind of an Anandam. So there is no coming back. Vijñātavyam ataha samyak brahma abhinnatvam atmanaha. Therefore, that alone is to be known. What is that? Samyak brahma abhinnatvam atmanaha. That this Brahman is not different from Atma, the self. That has to be known. So as I told you earlier also, he is not talking about Chaturmukha Brahma, the creator. No. Brahman means what? The substratum of everything. The absolute truth is called Brahman in Vedantic literature. So once when you realize, so that is the duty of all the sadhaka. He has to realize this oneness. What is the oneness? Brahma is not something different from the Atma, the self. It is one with the Atma, the self. This has to be realized. It is emphasized again and again. So as I told you the other day, if you realize the self and if you think, I am divine, I am Purnam, and this world is unreal, and all these people are wretched, they are struggling, if you think that way, then that knowledge is not complete. That knowledge is false. Once when you realize the self, then the vision is what? There is nothing other than the self. Everything is divine. Everything is self only. There is nobody here, not even me. There is only the Brahma Tattvam. This vision is a real vision. See, the other day somebody asked me, Swamiji, this Mahatma, he may be realized and gone, but other jivas are struggling here, na? Then what? See, that is what? When this vision happens, everything changes. Now, our idea is, there are so many jivas, the world is real, the jivas are real, na? And I am real. This is the idea now. See, world is real means what? The jivas who are living there also are very real. Yes, they are in ajnana, they are struggling, and I am also a jiva struggling here to know the self. This is the vision now. Nana vidamana kachi. But when you realize the self, truly, it is not different from the Brahma, it is one with the Brahma, then the vision, you know what? This is what is a magical transformation. The vision is, the world and the jivas are all not. I have been imagining that there have been so many jivas, there has been world. And even I am imagining my own personality. All this becomes null and void. And Swami is saying, that is what he is saying. Everything is negated. And what happens? There the vision is, oneness means what? Just the self alone is, full stop. Nothing else. And what about the other jivas struggling, Swamiji? Hare Rama, in the dream, we have seen so many people, really, suffering there. very hungry, begging for food. And you were also there in the dream. Maybe a person trying to help, but not able to help everybody. When you wake up, then would you be worried? What happened to those others who were struggling with hunger? I didn't serve them properly. Should I go back and serve them? Will you think? Hare Ram, all those are my mind's projection. Those beggars and me serving them, everything is my mind's projection. In the dream world, all the personalities, jivas appearing in the dream world are all false, my mind's own projection. They were not there. Similarly, the dreamer, myself also, in the dream, that is also a faltu, that is also false. This is the understanding when you wake up to the waking world. Similarly, when you wake up, highest, same is applied to the waking state. Whatever the jivas I am imagining now, and myself also here, all this becomes null and void. Just chumma. It's all nothing. It was never there. Mind's projection. Is this sensible or what? Very difficult to digest. Wait, Swamiji. அப்போ அந்த மகாத்மாக்கெல்லாம் ரியலைஸ் பண்ணிட்டு போனாங்களே, இப்போ நாமெல்லாம் இருக்கோமே. When you ask, here is the catch. See, other Mahatmas who have realized part of our waking mind. Is that not so? Please think. When we talk about other Mahatmas who have realized, is it your experience? It is part of your waking mind telling you, there have lived so many Mahatmas who have gone and we are suffering. It is all the part of the waking mind which is imagining. அப்போ அந்த மகாத்மாஸ்ல இல்லையா? அப்போ எழுதுனதெல்லாம் பொய்யா? Ask this question. The thing is, you have to think very deeply. Your own experience only you have to analyze. This is what is the vicharam. Proper vicharam means you have to be very true to yourself. So what is my experience? The three states is my experience. The waking, dream, deep sleep. That we have to analyze properly and understand. That is how you have to approach. And you have to be very clear. The other people are all part of the waking mind only. And even myself is part of the waking mind. Like in the dream, when you wake up, you say all the experiencer and the experience is false. Here also, when you wake up to the higher, the experience and experience is false. Full stop. Oh, it's not ordinary. See, it is not bhajana. Krishna Rama Govinda, Rama Krishna Govinda, Krishna Rama Govinda. And most of the time we may not hear the lines properly. We go along with the flow. Summa vaya matha asipom. Bhajana pandradhuna adha artham. We don't even hear the lines properly. We don't understand. So we can't pronounce also. But we are also doing bhajana. Means what? Just go to the Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. Kuttatoda Govinda varudhu. But inge appadi kadayadu. If you don't understand, if you don't think deeply, nothing happens here. You understand? See, Nama Sankirtan is wonderful. That is the way to reach God, definitely. It purifies and definitely it leads to the Paramatma. But what I mean to say, here you have to apply your mind, buddhi, and then think deeply actually. But sometimes, initially when you listen to all these things, you have to revolt. You have to protest and say, this is nonsense. I cannot agree to this. இதெல்லாம் சும்மா பைத்தியக்காரத்தனமா இருக்குது அப்படின்னு you have to revolt. If you don't revolt, if you accept everything like bum bum மாடுமா தலையாடிட்டே இருந்தீங்கன்னா, then you have not understood anything. Not only understood, you are not seriously contemplating on it. You should ask, how is it possible, Swamiji? What are you talking about? What is this philosophy? It is very weird, very strange. This should be the question. Is that not so? See, that is why our Guru Gurudev also, he never spoke anything out of his hat. He always kept Upanishad in his hands. and Bhagavad Gita in his hands. And then he spoke. And Adi Shankara in his hands. So that is the traditional way. Whatever our teachers taught us, we are sharing with you. And of course we have contemplated on it. And of course we have got our own, understanding and light, intuition, and that we are sharing. Nothing out of our hat. Then you can question it or you can doubt it. But I am not telling you. This is shared, this is revealed by the great Rishis, Munis, and has come through Guru Parampara. And all of them have thought about it and contemplated on it and raised so many doubts, shattered by this philosophy, and then recollected themselves, contemplated, and then found the truth. And then lived a beautiful life. So it has been passed on from Guru to Shishya, then his Shishya, then his Shishya. So this is the truth. Moving on. Beautiful here. The Upanishadic statement, Upanishadic mantra is revealed in this first line. Satyam Jnanamanantam Brahma. Namanantam Brahma. Vishuddham Param Swathas Siddham. Nityanandaikarasam Pratyag. Abhinnam Nirantaram Jayati. Satyam Jnanamanantam Brahma. Vishuddham Param Swathas Siddham. Nityanandaikarasam Pratyag. Abhinnam Nirantaram Jayati. This Brahma, what we are talking about, which is one with the self, what is this Brahma? Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. This is the Satyam. Why it is called as Satyam? It is always present. It cannot be negated. It cannot be negated by any means. It cannot be negated in 3 periods of time. Ever present. What happened? Suddenly somebody is talking other than me. So, Satyam is the truth which is ever present. Jnanam. Jnanam is the true knowledge, because of which everything is in the mind. Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. He shines and in his light everything else shines. That jnanam. See, when there are no objects, nothing, then what happens? He shines by himself. Meaning, he is not anymore a witness. He shines of his own. Swasakshi, yesterday we saw, na? So, that is the pure knowledge. Anantam, infinite, beginningless, endless. So therefore, if you realize the Paramatma, the Brahman as a self, if you think or if you get a feeling that you have got something new, then that is not the realization. Hare Rama, how did I miss this? It has been always like this. See, this is the revelation. So beginningless, endless, infinite. That is the nature of this Brahma. Endless means what? There is no slipping away from that. When you realize to that it is Anantam Brahma, Vishuddham, it's very pure, one without the second, therefore there is nothing other than it. It is very pure. Param, beyond. Beyond means what? Beyond the senses, mind, everything. Param, supreme. And Swasiddham. Swasiddha means what? It is known even without any equipment. without any equipments also. It is just known. How? Swata Siddham. It's self-evident. Nobody needs to approve it. Or no instruments are required to know it. Swata Siddham. It is known by itself. Very self-evident. You can never miss it. Swata Siddham. Nitya Ananda Eka Rasam. Like Mysore Rasam, this is a different Rasam. Nitya Ananda Eka Rasam. Eka Rasam. Eka means what? Always the same. The essence of that bliss. Here Gurudev comments, it is not even bliss, beyond the essence of bliss, he says. See, whatever bliss we know is only of the minds. Na? See, on the other day we saw na, Priya, Moda, Pramoda. When we come across the desired object or the person whom we like, there is some Priya, some joy, some happiness in us, in our heart. That increases when they are very close to us, and that becomes ecstasy when we hug and when we are one with them. Is that not so? So these are all minds, because Anandamaya Kosha only is expressing. It is not Brahmananda. It is only Anandamaya Kosha expressing. See? But when the Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha also is crossed, is transcended, then that bliss we don't know. We have never experienced. So it is said it is Eka Rasa Ananda, Nitya Ananda Eka, and it will not change. Nitya Ananda Eka Rasa. It is that bliss which is beyond the mind. Essence of the bliss what we have known. Nitya Ananda Eka Rasa. Pratyak Abhinnam Nirantaram. And that is not different from one's own self. Pratyak means one's own. It is not Abhinnam. It is not different. Abhinnam means it's not different from Pratyak. So that is the self. Nirantaram Jayati. Let this self be victorious always. Jayati. Varga Varga Jayati. Let it be victorious always. Actually, it is victorious only. Even for some time, the matter equipments, they dance. But once when the self asserts, everything else goes. The self alone rules. So, Jayati. So, this is the Atma, the self. Satyam Jnanam Anant. This is the Upanishadic statement. For this one, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, this one mantra, Shankara has written commentary pages after pages. If you read Shankara's commentary, my God, he has gone very deep and he has he has gone and on and on and on. Is Satyam Jnanam Anantam.
Which Upanishad?
I will find out. Because we have studied so many Upanishads, I think Brihada, somewhere it comes. No, I will find Brihadanika, I suppose. Taitriya? Taitriya? Okay. Taitriya also. I think one or two places it comes. Taitriya Upanishad? Are you sure? I will find out. Because we have studied few Upanishads. Satyam Jnanam Ananta Brahma, he has really gone deep. Vishuddham Param Swatasiddham. It is self-evident. So Nitya Ananda Ekarasam. So it is Ekarasam. So that is what it is all about. Nirantaram Jayati. May it be victorious. So now, having completed this thought, he is taking up another thought. Another thought means for continuation only. Another topic. All manifestation absolute. That's what Gurudev has named it. Now, here the meter is little different. So we will read it out. Whenever the meter is very long, we are unable to cope up or manage. So we will read it out. Sadidam Paramadvaitam Swasmadhyanyasya Vastunaha. இந்த அபாவா தனியாக தொங்குது, என்ன செய்யறது தெரியல. அபாவாத் அபாவாத் நாஹ்யன் யதஸ்தி கிஞ்சித் Samyak Paramartha Tattva Bodha Dashayam. There may be some other way to read it, I suppose. Anyway, Sadidam Paramadvaitam. Sad, the truth. Idam, this one, Parama Advaitam. It is really one without the second. Advaitam. Parama Advaitam. It is one without the second. Swasmad Anyasya Vastunaha Abhavat. Why you are calling as Parama Advaitam? Why you are calling as Advaitam means just one without the second. Why do you call that way? Because Swasmad Anyasya Vastunaha Abhavat. Apart from the self, Swasmad means apart from oneself, Anyasya Vastunaha Abhavat. There are no other objects or emotions or thoughts or anything else. There is nothing else. Paramartha Tattva Bodha Dashayam, the second line, the last word. Paramartha Tattva Bodha Dashayam. When you abide there, in that Paramartha Tattvam, from that standpoint, Dashayam, from there if you see, from that standpoint, Nahi Anyadasti Kinchana. There is nothing other than that. Anyad Asti Kinchana, Na Anyadasti Kinchana. Nothing other than that is seen, perceived. So from that Dashayam, from that standpoint of Samyak Paramartha Tattva Bodha, realizing one's true self, Tattva Bodha, from that absolute knowledge, when you see there is nothing other than it. Suppose if a mud pot guru advises an individual mud pot, the Shishya mud pot, let us say, when you realize that you are one with the mud, in the world of mud pots, see, you should not stretch the example too much because Brahman cannot be compared to anything. So, Chuma, this example you see, but don't stretch it beyond the point. You cannot. Suppose the Guru mud pot is giving Upadesha to the Shishya mud pot. You are seeing so many mud pots here now in the world of mud pots. Yes. When you identify with the mud, then there is nothing other than the mud. There is only mud. Then where has gone all the mud pots? Mud pots are there, but it is not other than the mud. All the mud pots are made of mud only. So the mud alone is Satyam. So you, the others, all the mud pots are mud only. I am also mud only. Madeva Satyam. He is going to explain now in the next verse. நான் எதுவுமே சொல்லல. நான் கொஞ்சம் பின்னாடி சொல்ல முன்னாடி சொல்லிட்டேன் போல இருக்கு. So therefore, there is not anything else except this pure consciousness. When the pure consciousness expresses, there is everything. Somehow when the pure consciousness is focused back to oneself, and when you abide there, there is nothing. So pure consciousness alone is everything. Nothing else apart from it. This is how it is said. So from the Paramartha Tattva Bodha Dashayam, from the standpoint of the ultimate, absolute, that knowledge, self-knowledge, Sattva Bodha, this is true. But now, in this Ajnana Dasha, now we see only differences. When you identify with one mud pot, one akara, and one sort of color of the mud pot, then you see differences only. Different mud pots only. Only when you identify with the mud, then Madeva Satyam, there is nothing other than the mud. So as a body mind, when you think, yes, there are so many body minds of different color, different qualities, different, activities. But when you enter with the pure consciousness, pure consciousness alone is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma alone is, that is Paramadvaitam, is one without the second. This is the self you have to realize. Moving on. Yadidam sakalam vishwam nana rupam pratitam ajnanat tatsarvam brahmaiva pratyasta brahmaiva pratyasta ashesha bhavana dosham Yadidam sakalam vishwam, all that is seen as the universe, vishwam. Yadidam, idam means this. Whatever you see, sakalam, as this vishwam, nana rupam, of different forms. Clear? Nana rupam we are seeing. Pratitam ajnanat, it is all ajnana only. What is ajnana? That they are different from each other, and they are not the self, they are something else. This notion of otherness, this is ajnanat. This is because of the delusion, because of jnanam, ignorance. What the scriptures have said, tat sarvam brahma eva pratyasta ashesha bhavana dosham. So this all is Brahma only. When you see Nana means what? Not the father. Nana means different forms. When you see separate from each other, other than you, that is what? Bhavana dosham. No, it is not that. Pratyasta ashesha bhavana dosham means what? In fact, Brahma alone, which is free from all limitation of thought. Brahmaiva Pratyasta ashesha bhavana dosham means it has got no thoughts or thoughts which differentiates everything. Bhavana, ashesha bhavana dosham. Pratyasta ashesha bhavana dosham means it has got no limitations of thoughts. Tatsarvam brahmaiva. Everything is Brahman only. So the thoughts arise and they only differentiate between the objects. Right? So there in that Brahma Tattvam, there are no thoughts. So there are no differentiation. Actually speaking, it is only one. Tat sarvam Brahma pratyasta shesha bhavana dosham. So Brahman alone, which is free from all limitations of thought, that is what it is expressed here. So whatever we see as different things are not there in that Swarupam. Because the Brahman is free from the limitations of thoughts, the thoughts alone create differences. When there are no thoughts, nothing except that one. So from that standpoint, if you see, everything is one. See, our Acharya always used to say, the sense of otherness and the sense of separateness, that is imagined, that is false. When you remove that, then what remains? Oneself only. Meaning it is not other, it is oneself. There is nothing so separate. Everything is one. So the sense of otherness and separateness, that is false. That is created through imagination, that is thoughts. See? When there are no thoughts, the Brahman which is free from the limitations of thoughts, when there are no thoughts, then what happens? This sense of otherness and sense of separateness vanishes. Please listen carefully. What I am trying to tell you is a very subtle point. When there are no thoughts, then there is no idea of separation or idea of otherness. Then there is the experience of oneness. Whenever the mind comes up in the waking and dream, there are thoughts. Thoughts means what? I versus rest. Then the differences are created. Versus rest means what? Different things. Because of its guna. Guna means because of its properties. Everything is differentiated. So all these things happen through the limitation of thoughts only. This Brahman is free from limitations of thoughts. So what happens? When there are no thoughts, there is no idea of separateness or otherness. So there is experience of oneness. You please think about this deeply. For your good, I will repeat it again. See, in the deep sleep state, there are no thoughts. So you don't perceive anything. There you don't perceive the self also. Full stop. When you are awake or dreaming, the mind rises. Mind means what? The experiencer and experienced. This dichotomy. So that is called as thoughts. Flow of thoughts means that is mind. Thought means what? I am there and the world is there. This dichotomy. So only through the thoughts, this bheda is created. I am different, the others are different. And there are so many others separate from each other. This is imagined through the mind, through thoughts only. When all the thoughts subside, the sense of separateness and sense of otherness, that vanish. And what is left? Though you see everything the same, but somehow the vision, the experience is, there is nothing other than you, or nothing is separate from each other. Perfect oneness. This is the remarkable vision gained. This is a breakthrough. And this is mind-boggling. See? You know what? When I express this, share with you, certain ideas are becoming very clear in my own mind actually. So beautiful. See, all these ideas were there, but it's becoming very crystal clear now. Only through the thought, the Veda Bhavana is created. Veda means what? I am different from you. And there are different objects in space and time. All these are created through thoughts. Somehow when the thoughts are removed from the personality, then the realization is, there is that one. How it is? Though you see different things, different from each other, because this Mahatma is also transacting in the world, seeing different people, talking to them, inquiring about their welfare, suggesting some ideas. He is also transacting, so he is seeing different people. It is not that after realizing the oneness, hey, I don't see anybody, ellam kacha kacha onna ore consciousness aichu. I am not able to pirichu paaka mudiyala yariyume. I don't know who is Rama, who is Soma, who is Kandasamy, who is Ramasamy. எனக்கு ஒன்றும் புரியல இப்போ. No, he knows clearly who is Ramasamy, who is Kandasamy. His parampara he knows, his mind he knows, his future he knows everything. Dhayanas he knows everything. Then Swami இப்பதான் சொன்னீங்க he doesn't see anything na அப்படி கிடையாதுன்னு சொல்ற வரேன் அதான். திருப்பி இதுதான் நம்ம புரிஞ்சுக்கணும். என்ன சுவாமிஜி குழப்புறீங்க? His experience is nothing is other than himself and nothing is separate from each other. Somehow this is his experience. எப்படியோ அவருக்கு ஒரு அனுபவம் ஏற்படுது. Everything is one. அது எப்படிங்கிறத இந்த அகங்கார திசையிலிருந்து புரிஞ்சுக்க முடியாது. As long as you are functioning through thoughts, you can never understand. Because thoughts create Vedam. So with the thought, how can you understand the Abheda? So you have to go beyond thoughts, means you have to go beyond the I thought. Then only it is revealed, the Abheda Nilai. From the Abheda Nilai, there are no Vedas. No? That is fascinating. So tatsarvam brahma eva pratyastha ashesha bhavana dosham, meaning there are no dosha, limitation of different thoughts in the Brahman. Therefore, there is perfect oneness. That is what we have to realize. So here, please be careful about these thoughts. It's going to be very difficult. Sarvam kaluvidan Brahman solla. Everything is Brahman only solla. And then he will say, in few more verses, he will say that whatever you see is unreal nu solla. And so, now Brahman unreal. From the standpoint of mud, there is only mud. But if you see from the standpoint of shapes, forms, then the shapes and forms are unreal. That's what we have to say now. From the standpoint of mud, we say all the mud parts are mud only. Fine. From the standpoint of the form and form, the shapes and forms are not real. Real means what? You are only seeing, but mud only you are seeing, but you are calling it in different names. So this is going to be a little tricky. If you don't clearly, very patiently follow it carefully, it's going to be tricky. So here, yadidam sakalam vishwam nana rupam pratitam ajnanat. So when you see differences, nana rupam, it is ajnana only. But in the tat sarvam brahma eva, when you realize the truth, everything is Brahma only. Because there is no limitation of thoughts, which creates differences. So how to go beyond thoughts? Very simple. I told you yesterday in the meditation classes. How to go beyond thoughts is simple. From the time we get up from the bed till we go to the bed, we have been aware of something or other. I am aware of something. See, this is the duality. Aware of something or other. Now, let go everything. Meaning, let it come and go. You don't get worried or bothered about whatever coming and going. What we do, we like certain things, so we are specially attached to that. So we don't want that to go. We want always to be with us. Something we don't like, we want that to go away. See, this is a problem with our mind. Now what as a seeker we have to do? Without any bias. Whatever comes, comes. Whatever goes, goes. I am not interested in anything because all is false. All is the imagination of the mind. So like that, if you remain, let everything pass. Whatever comes, comes. Whatever goes, goes. Whatever stays, stays. And I have nothing to do with it. It is all just figment of imagination. I am not going to be aware of anything. I am trying to be in the state of awareness. So when you remain like that for some time, everything ceases, everything ends. All the objects, emotions, thoughts, the kolapangal ellam konjam konjama, it settles down. When everything settles down, like the pure water, the pure awareness remains. There you do not know the awareness because it is self-evident. So that awareness remains. And what else to do? Remain in that awareness. That is yourself. There is beyond Anandam. And from that standpoint, you find everything is rising and falling in the awareness. Nothing is other than the awareness. Awareness alone is. So in the example of the reflected city in the mirror alone is. Though the reflected city is seen, but what you are seeing is only the mirror. And the reflected city is not other than the mirror. But what is only the mirror. See? Actually what is there? Concrete enna irukanga, mirror only is there. Where is the reflected city? You can say either it is just an appearance, or you can say everything is mirror only. But if you don't see the mirror, when you see only the reflected city, you say it is all false. Because we want you to shift the attention to the mirror. When you see the mirror, then the reflected city is nothing but the mirror only. You get the point? So this is how it is. Sarvam kaluvidam brahma. Yadidam sakalam vishwam nana rupam pratitam ajnanat. So therefore all the different things what you see is because of ajnana. The truth is tat sarvam brahma eva. Everything is Brahma only. Because why? Pratyastha ashesha bhavana dosham. Because this Brahma is free of the limitation of all thoughts. Bhavana means thoughts. All thoughts. It is free from all thoughts. Okay, moving on. Mritkarya bhutopi mrudo na bhinnaha. Kumbhosti sarvatra tu mrutsvarupat. Na kumbharupam pridagasti kumbha. Kuto mrusha kalpita nama matraha. So next 2-3 verses is going to take up the mud pot and the mud. And going to make you all mud only. Mritkarya bhutopi mrudo na binnaha. Kumbhosti sarvatra tu mrutsvarupat. Na kumbharupam pridagasti kumbha. Kuto mrusha kalpita nama matraha. Mritkarya buddha api mrudo na bhinnaha. Mritkarya rupaha api, the modification, the effect of the mud, the clay. Mritkarya bhutaha api, the modification of the mud. What is that? The mud pot. Mrudo na binnaha, it is not different from the mud. Though, see, the potter, he creates the mud pot. From what? From mud. Mud is a cause. Mud pot is the effect. So the mud has become the mud pot, let us say. So, though the mud has become mud pot, mud has become the mud pot, is it different from mud? No, what you are seeing is only the mud. Kumbha asti sarvatra tu mutsvarupat, because all the mud pots are made of only mud. Not only this mud pot, all the mud pots are made of only mud. Na kumbharupam pridagasti. See, the form what you say, what you see of the pot, can it be different from the mud? You cannot, because it's just mud. But you see the form. Can the form be different from the mud? If you remove all the mud, where is the form? If you remove all the mud from the mud pot, what remains? Nothing. So, can the form of the mud pot be different from the mud? No. So, if you see the mud pot as different, it is kalpita nama matraha. It is just the imagination of name and form only. If you see it as different, it is only imagination. It is just nama rupa, nama matram. Kalpita nama matraha. Just you are calling it names. But what is there is only the mud. Because your attention is on the form, you say pots are different. Some pots you store, say, let us say Ganga Jal. Some pot you store, let us say, corporation water. Some pot you stay, so you sort of collect some rice or something. So you call it as different. This is a very holy pot. This is an ordinary, corporation water pot. This pot has got rice, so rice pot. You can call it different names. Because of its function, yeah, it is different only. But what are you seeing is just mud. Different pots you are seeing, but you are seeing only the mud. If you think the Nama Rupa is there apart from the mud, where is it? It is only in the mind. And also Nama Matram. You are only calling names. Actually, it is not. Swamiji, onnume pudiyala. There is only mud in my head. Kalimannu da irukku moolayila. Onnum puriya maatengudhu. See, the problem, you know what? If a student studying 5th standard, he has not even gone into the secondary, he is in primary. If he goes and sits in the nuclear physics class, MSc nuclear physics class, if he goes and sits, and if the professor teaches, professor ke onnum puriyadu, adu vera vishayam. Because professor has studied whatever taught 20, 40, 50 years back. Now nuclear physics must have gone somewhere else. That Professor Pao, he is there still. He is only teaching the history of nuclear physics. He is not taking nuclear physics classes. I know very clearly. He is taking the history of nuclear physics. So he himself doesn't know what is nuclear physics. Pao, he is trying to explain his own ignorance. This child of 5th standard, it goes and sits in the nuclear physics class. What happens to the child? Bend the molecule. கொஞ்ச நேரத்தில் அதுக்கு எப்படா வெளியில் போகுதுன்னு பார்த்துருக்கோம். This professor is very strict. Now everybody enters and he closes all the doors. Captive audience. Nobody can escape. Nobody can sleep. So it becomes very difficult, right? So அந்த மாதிரி தான். When we are not able to follow the thought means we have not followed it sufficiently. எடுப்பில் கஷ்டம் அது ரொம்ப. எஸ்பெஷலி இந்த மாதிரி லாஜிக் அண்ட் ரீசனிங்லாம் வரும்போது ரொம்ப கஷ்டப்படும். சரி, இதை விடுவோம், மட்டை விடுவோம், நமக்கு பிடிச்ச சப்ஜெக்ட் எடுத்துப்போம். The subject which we like so much. We take gold and the ornaments. That is good, Swamiji. Gold. See, different ornaments are made up of what? Gold. So gold is the cause, ornaments are the effects. Okay. So ornaments are different only because some bangles you put in the hand, and then the golusu you put in the leg, and then the ottiyanam you put in your waist, and then all the other things like necklace, they are different only. But are they different from gold? See, don't argue with me. Swamiji, without adding copper you cannot make any ornament. So there is copper. See, do not stretch. அதுதான் 22 கேரட், 24 கேரட்டில் பண்ண முடியாது. Don't argue like that, please. You don't try to show your greatness, your jnanam about the jewelry making. So you consider made of gold only. So are the ornaments different from gold? No, cannot be different from gold. What you are seeing actually, gold only. But because your mind is so clouded with the utility, in necklace, it is a bangle. How can you put the bangle around your neck? But you can put bangle around your ears. That you can do. Some people put bangle in the ears. So you cannot. So that way you say it's different only. How can you say everything is one? So when your mind is clouded with the name and form and the utility, then it is different only. But actually what is this gold only? Gold eva satyam. So from the standpoint of gold, there is only gold. But if you see from the standpoint of utility and different names and forms, then they are different. But the names and forms are only imposed, superimposed on the gold. What is there is only gold. Other things are only superimposed on gold. Is it not so? That is why it is just a nama matram. You are seeing gold and calling it different names. As bangle, as necklace, other these things. இப்போ கொஞ்சம் புரியுற மாதிரி சுவாமிஜி மேபி கோல்டு வந்ததுனால கொஞ்சம் புரியுதோ தெரியல you talk about gold it is more understandable see so somehow this pure consciousness is compared here to gold. Everything is gold only, so everything is consciousness only. Whatever nama rupa we see is not other than, is not different from the gold. Gold இல்லாமல் நாம நம்ம தனியாக இருக்க முடியுமா? முடியாது. If you remove gold from this ornament, there is no ornament. So therefore, whatever nama rupa you imagine is only your imagination. But yes, in the Vyavahara, nama is given because then you cannot distinguish. And different utility is there. Kaikku poradhu, kaalku poradhu, different only. So therefore, Vyavahara திசையிலிருந்து பார்க்கும்போது different இருந்தாலும் different utility irundhalum, but from the essential standpoint it is nothing but gold only. So the world which is made of satyam jnanam anantam brahma as the adharam and nama rupa, so we say the nama rupa is false, it is only the mind's creation because what you are seeing is only satyam jnanam anantam. So the mirror and the reflected image. So the reflected image is only imagined, but what is truth is only the mirror. Something like that. So when they say it is false, the world is false, they are only negating the nama rupa, which you think separate or divorced from the substratum. When they say it is Brahman means what? They say the essence is Brahman only. It is gold, the ornaments are gold only. So essential standpoint they say it is gold only. So when they say Ellam Brahma means what? All is Brahma means what? They are talking from the substratum standpoint. When they are rejecting all the Nama Rupa is false means what? They are talking from the Nama Rupa means the periphery standpoint. So both are right. Since our mind is attached to the Nama Rupa, to wean it away, they say everything is false. And then to keep it firm in the Brahman, they say everything is Brahman. You understand what I am saying? See, this is what is done in our Vedanta Shastra. We should not get confused. We should refuse to get confused. We should try to understand in its own depth. See, Shankara, our acharyas, how much pain they are taking to explain us. Because it's very subtle, it's not very easy. So, next 1 hour you may get, 1.5, 2 hours you get now. You think about this idea of the gold and the ornament, and the mud and the pot, and then try to compare with the consciousness and the world. And try to relate how it is true. So from the essential standpoint of mud, everything is mud only. But if you see the pot, something different from the mud. Madapati yosikam patamatra yoscha. Then you see only differences. They are trying to negate the differences. They say it's only nama matram. You are calling names to the mud. Actually you are calling names to the mud. When you call names to Paramatma, he will get angry. That is samsara. You call names to anybody, they will get angry, na? Calling names. Ade motta inga vada. Mottaya. Calling names. See, motta inga vada. When he has got a good name, you call him by nickname, see, motta vada. So, when Brahman is pure, when you call him by different names, he gets angry. That is samsara. So, you should not call names to Paramatma. Paramatma is the self and you should keep quiet. Maunam, Don't call names. So it's nama matram, it is said. Please think about this subject matter deeply. So when you come to the next class, you should be very clear about everything. Why are you laughing? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.